my name is Mary Ann and I'm with Faribault Transportation, and we're going to review our pre-trip process so that you can study this when you're not with us, so that when we're together we get a little more of a guideline of what we're doing. We're going to start with our approach to the bus. We're going to break it down into sections. So when we approach the bus, we're going to go ahead and check and make sure that it is not leaning left to right and it is not leaning front to back at all. We're also going to make sure that we have any kind of oil or drips underneath the bus. And if we do have any puddles or pooling, we will identify what those are, and then we will tell the tester, like maybe it's oil, maybe it's antifreeze, maybe it's just condensation. As we approach the bus, now this portion is not on the test, but it is always good just to make sure your license plate is up to date. Sometimes these stickers do have a tendency to fall off, and if that happens, let us know. But the first thing you're going to do is your crossing gate. Make sure it has tension. Crossing gate is important because this makes sure that students are 10 feet in front of the bus so that the driver can sufficiently see them and we know they're in the safe zone. We're going to work our way up. Our headlights and our four-way lights are clear, not broken, cracked, or missing, and the light colors are the proper color. Working our way up, we're going to do our crossover mirrors. Go ahead and tug on them. Make sure that they're securely mounted, not cracked or broken. Our windshield is clean and clear, not cracked or broken. Our 8-way lights, our amber lights, and our 3 clearance lights are all properly mounted, secure, and they are the proper color. We're going to walk ourselves around the driver's side. It is important that you just check to make sure you have a DOT sticker and it is up to date. Your driver's side flat and convex mirrors, tug on them, securely mounted, not cracked or broken. Check your driver's window. Just make sure it's not fogged up and that the window slides. Your stop sign, make sure it has tension. Make sure and pull it from the bottom. If you're pulling from the black, this is the form, so this will not function, but you got to pull the sign from the bottom. And you're going to make sure the lenses are the proper color and they're not broken or missing. Your fuse box, we need to let them know that we carry spare fuses in the bus. Our battery, we'll open it up. We'll see that the connections are tight and there's no corrosion. And the battery door is secure. I'm going to work over here. I'm going to open the hood. My latch is secure. I'll go to the passenger side and I will open that as well. Now for the test, you will only have to check the driver's side of the engine, but when you open the bus, it is always good to just check on the passenger side, make sure you see no leaks, and just make sure you got sufficient amount of windshield washer fluid and that it's capped. On the driver's side, first thing we will check are the fluids. The reason we check the fluids is to make sure that the vehicle is in proper working order. So our oil, we will physically take this out, pull it out. We will wipe the dipstick, reinsert it, and then pull it back out and check it again. And make sure that the oil is within the proper range. So on the test, you do not have to physically check the oil, but you have to tell them how this is. That's why I showed you right now. And the reason we check the oil is to make sure that we have a sufficient level, because if we do not, it can cause the engine to lock up. Antifreeze, coolant, we will make sure it is up to the proper level between the add and max line and that it is capped. The reason we check this is if this fluid is low, it can cause the engine to overheat. Next, we'll check the power steering fluid. Again, this is at the proper level and it is capped. The reason we check steering fluid levels is if we are low on fluid, it can make steering difficult and we could cause an accident. From there, we're going to go ahead and check the overall steering system. We want to make sure that we have no points of failure in the steering system, because again, if we have a point of failure, it could break, we could lose control and have a crash. We have the steering shaft is securely mounted, both ends is lubricated. Steering gearbox is sufficiently mounted. The pitman arm, drag link, and our tie rod down there, they're all held together with cotter pins and they're in place. I'm going to go here to my frame. My frame is secure, not cracked, broken, or welded. My shock absorber is connected at top and bottom, is not leaking. Then I'm going to talk about my leaf springs, my spring mounts, my leaf springs, and my U-bolts right over here. So the leaf springs are not cracked, broken, or missing, and the U-bolts are in place. If we have a broken leaf spring, it can cause the vehicle to set uneven and cause for a bouncy ride. We're then going to go to our tires and our air lines. So if the air brake line is sufficiently mounted and we do not hear any audible air leak, we're going to look inside our tire. Down in the rim, we're going to make sure that we have no contaminants, no oil, no metal shavings. If we have any of those, that could mean that we have a problem with our brake pad, that maybe it's too low. And if we don't have a sufficient amount of brake pad, that can cause friction and could cause a fire. We're going to check our inner rim, make sure there's no rust, cracks, or welds. We're checking the rims of the tires just to make sure without rust, cracks, or welds or any damage to it, because if there is, that could cause a poor seal with the tire and could cause our tire to fail. The inner sidewall, no cuts, cracks, or bulges. The top of my tire, evenly worn. I'm going to check the tire depth with a tire depth gauge. The gauge on the front should measure no less than 4/30 seconds. Gauge on the back, no less than 2/30 seconds. The reason we check our tire depth gauge is to make sure that we have sufficient tire wear and that we can have sufficient grip on the road. Outside tire, no cuts, cracks, or bulges. Outer rim, again, no rust, cracks, or welds. And then we're going to check the lug nuts, make sure that they're all there, present, and there's no shine like any of them are loose. If any of the lug nuts are loose, it can cause wobble in the tire and cause us to lose a tire. The air valve is capped. We check these on all tires with an air gauge. And the reason we check these is to make sure we have the proper inflation. Overinflation can cause the tire to bulge and have us lose traction with the road. Underinflation can cause a heat buildup and cause a fire on the tire. That's all we need to have for the under the hood. So let's go ahead and close the hood and we'll go enter the bus. We will talk about tires no more. That is it. You cover that one tire by telling everything you can on that tire. You have also covered the rear tires. One thing I did forget to mention, front tires cannot be recaps, only rear tires can. Please note that. As we enter the bus, we're going to check the entryway for safe entry and exit for students onto the bus. The doors are sufficiently mounted. The glass is clean, clear, not broken, not fogged. The the handrail is securely mounted. The stairwell light is present. It is the proper color. And the stairs are free of any obstructions. When you enter the bus, make sure you hold on to the handrail and you have at least 3 points of contact, which mean your feet and your hand. If you want to come on up and then we can check here, we'll start. We're going to activate the door. When the door handle is in this position where it says for emergency use, this implies that we can physically move the doors ourselves. We can push them open and closed. But we want to operate the door with the controls of the bus. So to do that, we need to put it in this position so that we cannot physically pull the doors. It is to be maneuvered with the mechanism on the bus. Our first aid kit is securely mounted and state that it is sealed. Our body fluid kit securely mounted, sealed. Our fire extinguisher securely mounted. There's a seal, the pin is present, and the gauge is in the green. That means it's fully charged. And our safety triangles are right here. We also note that we have spare fuses that are carried on the bus. Once I've entered the bus, that was one of the 3 things that we're going to do. So we're going to do safety, gauges, and brakes. So safety, the first thing we're going to do is our safe start. So to do that, we're going to put our key in, turn our ignition to the on position, and we're going to watch all of these gauges cycle, and we're going to point out that ABS light right there. Okay? Once all these gauges have cycled, we are then going to press in our brake put our vehicle in drive and attempt to start the vehicle. This is to show that if the bus is not in the proper gauge, it will not start. We will then slip it back into neutral and start our bus. So that's the safe start. Then we're going to go to G. We're going to go to gauges. The gauges we need to point out is our DEF tank, and we need to show that it is at least a quarter of a tank full. Our fuel tank, that it is at least a half a tank full. And our air brakes, our front air brakes and our rear air brakes. You'll notice on the dial here, when we get between 120 and 140, we're going to hear the air governor shut off. That means the air tanks are full and it is at maximum operating level, and you'll hear air release. It'll be literally a whoosh. When I hear that, I will let the tester know that was my air governor shut off. You may hear it now, you may hear it a little later. Every bus is a little different, but no, your air governor shut off is going to happen between 120 and 140. So that's my G, that's my gauges. Now I'm going to go to my brake test. Every air brake test is the same. I do encourage that we close the door. Did you hear that? That was my air governor shut off. That loud psh. And that did happen around 140 on here, 130, 140. I'm going to close my doors just so I can hear better. So for my brake test, the first thing I'm going to do is test my spring brakes, which I can tell by the indicator here that the spring brakes are activated. So to test this, I'm going to push in the brake, put my bus in drive, put my hands on the steering wheel, and attempt to pull forward. Don't be shy to step on that gas and really rev that engine. Spring brakes are holding. Now I want to test my foot brake. So I'm going to put my bus back in neutral. I'm going to release the air brake, which is pushing it in. I notice my indicator is off on my dash, and I'm going to put my bus in drive. I'm going to pull forward 5 or 6 feet. While I'm pulling forward, I'm making sure I do not have more than 10 degrees play in the steering wheel. If we have more than that, it can cause for ineffective steering and create an accident. And I'm going to make sure that I don't have any sponginess or odd pressure in the brakes when I stop, because if we have poor braking power, that again can affect our stopping time and create an accident. So I'm going to go ahead and pull forward my 5 or 6 feet. I can even gas to get there, or I can just let it roll. Gentle stop here. I did not feel any pull in the wheel, and the brakes felt secure. Put my bus back into neutral. I am not setting my parking brake, because now I want to test my air tanks and make sure that they hold air. So let me turn my bus off, and then I'm going to turn my bus back on. The reason I turned the bus off is if the bus is running, it is continually replenishing the air tanks. What I want to do is turn the bus off, and I want to hold the pressure on those air tanks and make sure that they hold without being replenished. So to do that, I had to turn it into the on position so that the battery would operate my gauges. Now I'm going to look at my gauges and make sure I don't lose more than 3 psi in 1 minute. For our video's sake, I'm going to say it's been a minute, and we haven't lost more than 3 psi. So now what I want to do, I can tell you my tanks hold the air. Now I want to test if my air is lost from my tanks, that my warning light comes on and that my spring brake resets itself. So to do this, I need to fan the brakes, which means I need to pump them to release air from those tanks. And my foot isn't coming all the way off the brake, it's just coming up enough to create that pressure. Around 65 psi, my warning lights came on, and that looked like around 40. You heard that pop, my indicator came on. That means my brakes reset themselves. Now I want to turn the bus on and make sure that those brakes that reset themselves actually hold. So I started my bus, I put it in drive, and I'm going to attempt to pull forward. That is the exact same action I did to begin my air brake test. Air brake portion of the test is done now. Next thing I want to check is my headlights and all of my lights in my vehicle. So now I'm going to go ahead and turn on the headlights. And I'm going to ask the tester to please go out and check my headlights. Would you please go out and check my headlights?
And the brights are good.
As the tester checked my headlights, she gave me the thumbs up. And when she comes in, I'm going to show her or him that the bright light indicator does work. Now you'll notice this is still beeping because our pressure wasn't built up. That's what the beep was, but that's okay. So I'm going to go ahead and he's going to come in. I'm going to close the door, turn off my bright lights. Now I'm going to finish checking all of my light systems. So I'm going to start on my side panel over here. First, I'm going to turn on my flasher lights. These are the yellow lights that let people know the bus is going to stop. If you look in those crossover mirrors, you can see the amber lights working. I can also see my 3 clearance lights lit up. Also on my dashboard, my amber light is flashing. I'm also going to turn on my left turn signal. We can see the signal's working. And when I look into my crossover mirror, I can see that turn signal working. And when I look down the side of my bus, I tend to use my upper mirror here. I don't know if you can catch it on that. I can see that side marker light working. Can you see it? No. And let me adjust this so we can see it. See that side marker light working? Okay. So now I'm going to go to the back of the bus and check the lights back there. On the way back, you do need to check your seats. So you only have to check one of the seats for the test. Just kind of lift them up. Make sure that they're securely mounted. Feel free to check a random one if you want to. That's just fine. It doesn't hurt anything. Going back to the back, I'm going to collect my empty sign. I'm going to open the door. I'm going to look at my 2 amber lights and my turn signal. Physically turn your head to look. My 2 amber lights and my turn signal are working. I'm going to head to the back, the front of the bus. And by now I'm going to check the backs of the seats just to make sure they're secure. So you can just do a little pop on them. And I'll go slow so I don't have my filmer fall. Thank you, Miranda. All right. And then I'll just put my empty sign up here just so I know where it's at. So I've checked my left turn signal. I'm going to go ahead and check my right. I see my indicators working. When I look in that crossover mirror, I can see my right turn signal. And when I look in my convex mirror, I can see my side marker light working. Okay. The next natural progression after your amber lights is your 8-way lights. To activate those, I'm going to go ahead and open the door. When I opened my door, in my convex mirror on my driver's side, I saw my stop arm come out and the lights are functioning. In my crossover mirrors, I see my 8-way lights are working. And in my other crossover mirror, I can very clearly see my stop arm came out, as well as my 8-ways working. One thing I want to do now is go ahead and cancel that cross arm. So I'm going to have show you where the button is to cancel that. But then I'm going to have you look at the mirror so you can see that the arm to fold in as I push the button. Okay, my cross arm works. My cross arm cancel works. This time I'll walk to the back of the bus one more time. I'm going to check those 8-way lights in the back of the bus, and I'm going to check that right turn signal. Oh, and you can see the red flasher light coming on. Thank you. I forgot to mention that. Thank you. See, this is why we got teamwork, guys. All right, so I'm heading back to the back. I can talk about my emergency exits. I have 4 windows, 2 hatches, and a door in the back. They're all clearly marked with emergency exit above each window. My rear hatch, I forgot to turn on my strobe light. I can see that. I will turn my strobe light on and check that. I'm going to open this up and check 8-way lights are working, as well as my right turn signal. And yes, I forgot to turn my strobe on. Usually if you turn your strobe on earlier, you can see the reflection right here of the light flashing. We caught my mistake. How many people are going to catch us? Everybody, because I just told them. That's okay. Again, teamwork. That's what we do. All right. This is my strobe light, folks. I turn that on. And actually, I can see it flashing, and Miranda's kind enough to walk back and show it to you. Thank you, Miranda. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and turn my turn signal off. So now I have my 8-ways on, and I just want to demonstrate my side panel over here. So I want to go ahead and do this override button. That cancels my 8-way system when my door is open, and you can see my door is still in the open position. So this is an on-off toggle. On, off, and I don't know if you can see here in the wind mirror too. It canceled that 8-way system. I already did my cross gate. My noise suppress, I'm going to wait a minute on that one because I don't have anything running. Strobe light, I'm going to turn it off because we did check that. I'll click on all my dome lights. I'll turn around, and I'm just going to make sure all of them light up. And if we have an issue, you let the mechanic know. We don't worry about the boost pump. We don't worry about our mirror defroster. We do our heaters, and there's 2 speeds, low and high. And I do encourage you to check these and listen for them even in the warm months, because if we have a faulty heater system, it is much easier for the mechanic to repair it in the summer than to wait until it is freezing cold. And stairwell heater, low, high. When we get to the driver defrosting heater, you physically need to reach forward and feel over the defrosters that they are working. This is definitely part of the test. This is big points off if you don't do it. Low and high. I also have my 2 defrost fans, and they're located up here. They're perpendicular to the bus, or parallel to the window, as is their controls. So I'll go low, high, and then on the other one, low, high. And then while that fan is on, this is where I'm going to demonstrate that noise cancel button. So what the noise cancel does is if you are going over a railroad track, turn it on, turn it off. You're going over a railroad track, that deadens the noise of all the electronics inside the bus so that you can stop, look, and listen. So that is an important button to know. For our purposes, I'm going to leave them on low because it's a very warm day. I will then check my radio, and I'll do a radio check to base, and we go route number to base, radio check. But we are a training bus, so I'm going to say training bus to base, radio check. And I can tell it's on because the light is lit up.
Loud and clear.
10-4, thank you. And I encourage that 2-way conversation so that we know we can hear each other. My belt cutter is here. Sometimes it is located here. Sometimes it is located here. Sometimes it is actually located in our side cubby. In here. Sometimes. But make sure you find that. As I work my way across the steering wheel, I have my windshield wipers. I'm going to go ahead and turn them on, make sure they work. And then I'm going to make sure the mechanism for spraying the washer fluid works as well. That both work. I'm going to turn on my 4-way lights, which are also your hazards. The indicator does work. And I'm going to get out my pre-trip book. This particular bus, the book is down there. Lots of times the books are in this cubby to the side of us. And I'm going to set it on top of here. And then I am ready for us to leave the bus and do our pre-trip outside of the bus. As you depart the bus, please make sure to notice that your stairwell light does light up. We will then walk around the front of the bus, indicate that our 3 clearance lights work, and that both of our 4-way lights on the front do work. Now see if we can see the flashing. We're going to walk around the side I look at my clearance lights, I have 2 yellows and 1 red clearance light. They're all connected, they're the proper color, and they're functioning. The windows down the length of the bus are all intact, not broken or missing. My 2 emergency windows are clearly marked and have reflective tape around both windows. My side marker light is the proper color and is functioning. I have reflective tape the length of the bus. My depth tank is capped and is not leaking. I have my DOT stickers, or sometimes they're reflectors. 2 yellows and 1 red, proper color. And then I'll take a quick peek under the bus. And it's just a little flip under there. Just to look and make sure that the frame and cross members are not broken, cracked, or welded. This is not on the test, but I want everybody to have the habit on your tools. We already talked about it in the front. We don't need to say anything. But I want us to get in the habit of pushing on that inner dual tire, because if you do not push on it, you will not know if it's flat or not. If it doesn't budge, you're good. If there's any wiggle, talk to the mechanic. We got an issue with the tire. And then you'll just point out your air ride inflate bag is inflated. Come to our gas tank. Capped, not leaking. Then we'll walk to the rear of the bus. The rear of the bus, like the front, I tend to go from the bottom up. So I look under the bus and I see if I see any leaks, which I do see a drip, and I believe that is from my exhaust. To the right a little, there you go. My duals, I don't have any obstructions between them, and the gas tank and cage are secure and not leaking. As I walk up to the bus, again, license plate not on there, but it's good to just make sure our sticker's up to date, because again, sometimes those peel off, and this one is actually starting to peel a little on the edge so it can fall off. My 2 red DOT stickers. I have reflective tape around the entire outside of the bus. And then I kind of clump my lights together. My running lights, my 4-way lights, my brake lights, my backup lights, my 8-ways, my ambers, and my clearance lights, all properly mounted, not missing or broken, and they're all the proper color. Emergency door is clearly marked, reflective tape around the door. All my glass is not cracked, broken, or missing. I will open the door and demonstrate that it can stay open so that as kids are getting off the bus, it won't be flapping and hitting them. And you will hear our alarm sound. Door stays open. I forgot to open 1 emergency window.
Oh.
That's it. Because I heard this, I forgot. So, well, we'll see that in the video. Then I go to this side of the bus. I have my my clearance lights at the top, my red and 2 yellow, proper color, functioning and mounted, not missing. Just so you're aware, this here is a stop arm camera, and there was one up just underneath or right near the fuse box. That's so we can get stop arms back and forth. That's not on the test, that's just for your knowledge. Windows, not broken, cracked, or missing. Emergency windows, sufficiently marked with reflective tape and verbiage. Reflective tape the length of the bus. And then I have my 1 red and my 2 yellow DOT stickers. As I walk by here again, air ride inflate bag is inflated. And then I just push on that inner dual, make sure that it is not damaged. At this point, I will ask the tester if they could step to the back of the bus and please check and see if my brake lights and my backup lights work. Could you please do that for me?
Yes.
Thank you. Feel free to talk it.
So you always want to get somebody to make sure that your brake lights and your reverse lights do work, so that way it is safe. The brake lights work, so I give a thumbs up. The reverse lights work, so I give a thumbs up.
forgot to mention that I realized when we were walking, I did mention my 4 ways in here. I mentioned them in the front, but I didn't mention that they were both working. We were standing in the back of the bus, and they were. I can mention it now, and it's okay. And I also realized I did not open at least one of my emergency exits. So I can go back now, and I can open a window just to show it works. And there, that was my air governor shut off again. When you open it, just open it all the way. Close it up. All right. The next thing I need to do is to fill out my logbook. So let me get the proper date. Today's the 1st. So first thing I do is I don't need those. I get my mileage, 108,005. I write my mileage in. And then I just literally go down and I check. External damage and cleanliness. Yep, I checked that. Lifted the hood, checked for leaks. Yep, I did that. Braking system, I did my brakes. Engine start, my safe start, did it. Transmission, when I moved back and forth into reverse and drive, it went swimmingly. All gauges and horns, I forgot to honk my horn. Horn works. Windshield washers and wipers, did it. Thermal pane doors, those are the doors we came in. We checked those. Heaters, defrost, dome lights, yep. Driver's seat and seatbelt. I did not talk about my seatbelt. I'll check my seatbelt. No cracks, no frays, and it secures. Okay, check it off now. Mirrors and brackets. My mirrors, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and this makes 7. I talked about them on the outside. Now I just want to say, you know what? They're all set for, they're all in proper position for me. If I need them to be changed, I just ask the tester to adjust a mirror for me. And you notice I'm not checking it off until I've talked about it. All dash indicators, yes. Clearance lights and reflectors, yes. Tail lights, yes. Turn signals and hazards, yes. Backup and brake lights, yes. 8-way system, yes. Interior damage, cleanliness, yes. We noticed that as we went back. You can say something about seats and cushions, yes. Emergency exits, yes. Safety equipment, yes. Fuel tank and cage, yes. Tires, wheels, lugs, flaps, yes, we looked at all those. Suspension and exhaust, yes, we took a peek under the bus, we saw it. Steering, yes. 2-way radio, yes. Empty sign, yes. Trailer hitch, we do not have one on this vehicle, so that's a straight line, and we do not have a wheelchair. And then our driver's initials. All right, I'll put that book away. Oh, hey, it fell off. This is the beauty of live video, right? Not live, but video. Okay. I'll close my doors, and then I let the tester know I am ready to go.